So, this is going to be another one of those double feet. There's just so many things going on right now that I'm like, I want to talk about that. It's, I can either make like 5-10 videos a day, which is, one of those things you do when you're trying to get famous, and I'm not looking to get famous, or I can pack it all kind of as like a double, triple feature, that sort of thing. That's why I'm doing this so much, but nevertheless, I want to talk about something before we talk about what we're actually here to talk about. So, alright. A while ago, back when Louis C.K. was allowed to be famous and work and stuff like that, he went on Saturday Night Live and told a bit that I had heard him previously tell on Opie and Anthony. Needless to say, it was much more understandable and funny at Opie and Anthony than it was at fucking Saturday Night Live, but he got through it. God bless him. It was an amazing bit. Everybody had a lot of fun with it. But the bit was it was a risk reward observational bit, right? The risk versus the reward of a certain scenario. He made a bit about it. The reward, not for lack of, anyways. The thing he was making the observation on was pedophilia, having sex with children. And a trigger warning, by the way, for those of you who are fucking weird. So he did this bit about how doing that particular thing must be amazing because of everything that you sacrifice when you do it. You lose your freedom. Most likely at some point or another you're going to lose your life. You're just going to have a bad situation your whole life. You're going to have to go and survive prison. Most likely you're going to get beaten or the same treatment done to you in there. Like, it's just that the risk could not possibly outweigh the reward, or the reward for that could not possibly outweigh the risk just because of what the risk exactly is for how good could that particular action actually even be. Right? So, the idea of the joke was it must be amazing. So, I've got another another thing to support that observation that it must just be amazing, right? Let me introduce you to Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez is a former UFC, I believe, multi-time heavyweight champion, right? Cain Velasquez is a bad motherfucker. Like, he is a bad man. I think if memory serves, I also believe that he was in some sort of gang, criminal organization, whatever. Like, he was involved in things with other bad people, bad people. Like, he's a bad person that came from a bad people life, and he said, I kind of want to make something of myself that's a little bit better than this. So he became a professional fighter, and he's a bad man. Like, he'll put a fucking hurting on you. He's not a nice guy when he fights people. And somebody decided that it would be a grand idea to molest his 4-year-old child. Like, I mean, holy shit. On the spectrum of just stupid things to do. Cain Velasquez kid. But lucky for this man, Cain Velasquez did not get a hand on him. He grabbed his gun and chased him in a car for 11 miles, shooting at him. Wound up shooting the dude's, like, stepfather or father or something like that. One of his relatives shot him because he was in the car with him when all this was going on. I mean, oh my God, dude. So, I guess the reason why the story was on the news is Cain Velasquez is going to get 5 years for that shit. And I got to tell you, I mean, look, that's going to suck. For him to be in prison for 5 years for that, that's going to, I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. If he would have beat the dude to death, I would say, you know, give him like 5 years probation, time served, you know, let him just sit at home with an ankle monitor for, you know, whatever, and just don't even really pay attention to it because fuck it, who cares? Like, did us a service. You know, like, if he would have bludgeoned him to death with his fists, I would kind of go, that's what you get. But he chased him for 11 miles in a car, shooting at him, and shot a relative of the dude's. Dude, I guess you gotta go up for 5 years at least for that. Like, we'll ignore some of it and just kind of give you a light 5 years because, dude, you shot a guy. You know, it's one of those, hey, I want to escort you home. Everybody else is kind of looking at me like, dude, we got to do something here. You know what I mean? Like, but, holy shit, yeah. So, I mean, dude, I did the video on Johnny Smalley yesterday, and Johnny Smalley just got beat out for stupidest human in existence by this fucking guy. Dude, Cain Velasquez kid. That's a whole new level of stupid, man. That is a whole new level of stupid.
The trouble with loyalty to a cause is that the cause will always betray you.
Alright, so, moving on to other things that are more important in a global sense than some dummy getting lucky he just got shot at. Like, and that's a crazy thing about that, too. He's lucky he just got shot at. When do you ever hear that? Yeah, I'd much rather him just shoot at me. Like, dude, honestly, if it's a choice between Cain Velasquez beating the fuck out of me or shooting a gun at me, I'll take the bullets. Because he might miss with the gun. But, dude, he gets a hold of you. He's just gonna fuck you up. Like, oh, so stupid. Like, obviously, bad to do in the first place. But, man, there's a spectrum of this is a dumb idea in that category that I never knew existed, but apparently it exists. Oh, God. So, anyway, so, Pete Hegseth. Alright, look. The Trump regime has had its first dumb fuck, oh, God, why did this have to happen situation happen. Pete Hegseth is texting back and forth in a chat with other government officials and apparently one fucking reporter. So, what are they chatting about exactly? Well, as it so happens, they were chatting about the attack on the Houthis that happened not too long ago. Right? They're chatting about that with a whole bunch of government people, Pete Hegseth, and a fucking reporter. Now, the reporter decides to go ahead and publish what it was that he saw in the text thread, which honestly kind of makes me go, alright, well, if that's happening, then it wasn't anything really bad. Right? Like, that's my first thought. How bad is this? How bad is this? Clearly the attack went off and happened and everything went as expected, right? And nothing happened. It wasn't in any way fucked with or anything like that. Like, people didn't get hurt. It didn't cost anybody their lives. This mistake didn't cost any lives on our side. But, like, you know, lives were lost that day. But, yeah, like, it didn't really do anything bad. So, on the spectrum of bad, this is pretty bad because it's just what it is, but it's fairly low, right? Like, it's like if low bad is here and high bad is up here, it's kind of like, you know, around here, you know what I mean? Like, if it was a oopsie text to anybody else, it'd be fucking down on, who gives a shit? But this is Pete Hegseth texting to some random fucking reporter about, yeah, we're going to start the attack here, we're going to do this and use this and whatever all it was. And thank God the reporter isn't one of those really crazy people who decided to say, ooh, I could leak this to the Houthis and that'll be a big thing for Donald Trump. For a while, and then it'll be a big thing about you. So at least he was smart enough to realize that. But you know, it happened. I didn't read the article. I looked through the text messages. I saw some of the text messages. I watched other people read the article and kind of summarize it for me. But what I saw in the text messages honestly didn't really look all that bad. They were discussing the situation. Part of it was kind of bad because they were saying, I fucking hate that we have to go to the aid of Europe again. We got to bail them out. Like, there was a whole lot of slamming Europe, which kind of made me think, was it really an oopsie? Like, if it was safe enough that I was able to look at whole, parts of the thread and nothing was blacked out and nothing looked like government secrets, you know what I mean? I'm kind of sitting here going, I wonder if this is one of those, I'm moving my pawn 5 dimensions this way and leaving it over here. Like, I don't know what, I'm always skeptical about everything. I'm not entirely convinced that this is much of a oops as they were making it out to be. I think that they were like, we'll leave this guy in. Just everybody be good, everybody be cool, nobody's doing anything really stupid, and we'll just kind of let that guy in, and when he eventually tells everybody what happened, maybe Europe can get to see, yeah, we're getting tired of bailing you assholes out. They can be a little bit more open about that. And then the next time they go into any sort of talks with them, that will be kind of a thing that will be in people's minds. And hey, maybe it even gets mentioned. And maybe we go, yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, we are fucking tired of that shit. You know, like, who knows exactly the political implications of everything that's happening. We'll have to see how everything plays out. But for the moment, I'm kind of like, I don't entirely know what to make of that, but certainly fun to think about. But I mean, if it is a legitimate, yeah, this is a text thread for everybody, and you know, I was looking for Dave Smith, and I hit Phil Smith, you know, or Dave and Phil. Like, if it was one of those, I fat thumbed it and flubbed it, whatever. First of all, I hope that Pete takes this as a learning experience. Right? You don't dare do this shit again, dude. Because the first time, people can kind of be like, well, what exactly happened? How did this go on? What exactly was said? What exactly is the result of all of it? And when everything kind of comes back, well, this was said, and this is kind of bad, and this is kind of insulting to other countries, and this is, you know, kind of a thing. But everything's still good. Nobody, you know, nothing really, really bad happened. So, I think a lot of people will look at this and kind of go, fucking watching you now, motherfucker. Like, don't do that shit again. You do that shit again, though, and immediately people will be like, hey, Donald, you need to get the fuck rid of him, because he's an idiot. Like, that will immediately become the narrative. He's fucking retarded. He's got to go. Right? We don't want to get there. We don't really, you know, that's not really where we want to go, but, you know, let's just make sure we don't get there. right? So, but one thing that did strike me is it wasn't two dudes ass fucking in the middle of the council chambers at the House of Representatives. Like, it wasn't that. Oddly specific, isn't it? Because that was happening during Biden. Like, they got caught, they were passing around videos that two dudes decided to fucking slap ass in the middle of the council chambers on the tables and shit in the fucking House of Representatives. Like, that's a fucked up text thread that I kind of see as a little bit more of a problem than this thing with Pete. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot different. This is, well, they're kind of shitting on Europe because we're getting tired of having to pull Europe's ass out of the fire every time it gets hot. You know, all right, I'm there. And then when things went off and everything kind of worked, everybody was like, hey, congrats. Good job, Pete. Good job. Like, I mean, sure, what's happening is awful. And it would be really nice if they didn't make us have to do these awful things. You know what I mean? Like, I know. Oh, you sound like my abusive ex-husband. Yeah, but like, they're really actually making us do these things. He's just trying to blame everything on you. This is not the same type of situation. These are bad people, and we gotta put a stop to the shit that they're doing. Right? So, yay, good job, Pete. You know? Like, hey, good work. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they're going to spin this. This is incompetence. Sure. I'll even let you roll with that. Fine. And this is another one of those. Now you got to deal with this shit now, man. You know? Like, you did it. So you got to look like a toolbox. And Pete looks like a big old toolbox. And he's got to get to where he doesn't look like a toolbox anymore. You know? Like, this is... In life, you make mistakes. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up, you know? I'm willing to overlook this because nothing bad happened. But you do it again, I'm going to be the first one making the video of, I think we got to talk about Pete. So, if this was some sort of we're poking at Europe thing, alright, but you got to figure out a better way to do it next time, man. You cannot have this thing be a thing that, and you know, and Donald Trump is like, what happened? Oh, well, everything worked, so I guess nothing went wrong. And whatever, this is the first time I heard about it. That's Trump's official statement on the whole thing. He's like, well, whatever. Everything went off like a charm. So, Donald Trump, again, proving that he is a results-oriented man. He is not really a, well, what happened? Oh, okay, well, did everything work? Oh, well, fuck it. Like, you know, don't do that dumb shit next time. Like that. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's pretty bad, and it's another one of those things that the left is going to see and go, ah! And now we got to deal with that. But you know, hey, look, again, I am not willing to really fucking freak out over this situation because this situation didn't seem to have really ill effect. And I think it's one of those learning situations where you go, oh my god, well, I'm never going to do that again because that could have been horrible. You know, like, alright, fine. We learned that lesson. Going forward, never happens again. Cool. But if more reporters find their way into these text threads, I'm going to lose my mind.